Good evening. Wherever you are, I invite you to slow down for a moment. If you have a glass of wine nearby, now is a good time to pour it. Settle in, let the room get quiet, and listen. Tonight is about language, rhythm, and the spaces between words. I'll begin with Emily Dickinson. This is Because I Could Not Stop for Death. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too for his civility. We passed the school, where children strove at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain, we passed the setting sun. Or rather, he passed us. The dews drew quivering and chill, for only gossamer, my gown, my tippet, only tulle. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then, 'tis centuries, and yet feels shorter than the day I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. Let's stay in that quiet for a moment. The next poem is a sonnet by John Keats. It lingers on the idea of constancy, on the wish to remain, to stay close, even as time keeps moving. Listen for how the language slows itself down. This is, Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art. Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art, not in lone splendor hung aloft the night and watching, with eternal lids apart, like nature's patient, sleepless eremite, the moving waters at their priest-like task of pure ablution round earth's human shores, or gazing on the new, soft-fallen mask of snow upon the mountains and the moors. No, yet still steadfast, still unchangeable, pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast, to feel forever its soft fall and swell, awake forever in a sweet unrest, still, still to hear her tender taken breath, and so live ever, or else swoon to death. Let's keep the night moving gently. If you're listening from somewhere quiet, stay there. This next poem is short, but it carries more than it seems to at first. Emily Dickinson writes about something fragile and stubborn, something that survives weather and distance. Listen to how the pauses matter as much as the words. This is, Hope is the thing with feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Let's stay with it, friends. I know these poetry readings are something many of us look forward to after a long day. A way to sit with language without needing to solve anything. This next poem is a story meant to be heard slowly, shaped by repetition, memory, and a devotion that refuses to loosen its hold. It's about a love that endures time, distance, and loss, and still insists on being spoken aloud. This is Annabel Lee, by one of many of our favorites, the incomparable Edgar Allan Poe. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee. With a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. Staying staying with it, quietly, gently. Let's continue. This next poem speaks to something that feels very current. The belief that what we build, what we broadcast, what we chase for attention and permanence will somehow outlast us. It's about power, reputation, and the quiet realization that time is always the final editor. Long after the noise fades, long after the names are forgotten, only fragments remain, if anything does at all. This is Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things. The hand that mocked them, and the heart that fed." And on the pedestal, these words appear: "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away." We don't need monuments for this one. This poem understands something we still wrestle with: the fear that beauty fades, that moments pass too quickly, that love has an expiration date. It answers that fear in the simplest way, by saying what's seen, what's loved, can be held a little longer through words. This is Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance, or nature's changing course, untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growst. So long as men can breathe, or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Let's slow the room down now. After power, after love, after the urge to make something last, this poem invites us to notice what's already here. It's about ripeness, warmth, and that brief moment when everything feels full, not yet fading, not yet gone. Listen with the body this time, with breath, with texture, with sound. This is To Autumn by John Keats. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatch eaves run, to bend with apples the mossed cottage trees, and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core, to swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells with a sweet kernel, to set budding more, and still more, later flowers for the bees, until they think warm days will never cease, for summer has o'erbrimmed their clammy cells. Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy store? Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a granary floor, thy hair soft lifted by the winnowing wind, or on a half-reaped furrow sound asleep, drowsed with the fume of poppies, while thy hook spares the next swath and all its twined flowers. And sometimes, like a gleaner, thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook, or by a cider press, with patient look thou watchest the last oozings, hours by hours. Where are the songs of spring? Ay, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too, while barred clouds bloom the soft dying day, and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn, among the river sallows, borne aloft, or sinking as the light wind lives or dies. And full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bourne. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies. This poem sits in a familiar tension, the pull between what we owe the world and what the quiet asks of us. It explores that moment when responsibility presses in, even as something softer, calmer, almost forgiving, invites us to stop. It's about duty and the desire to rest, to disappear briefly into stillness, and the human instinct to linger where peace feels possible. This is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. This next one doesn't argue or explain. It simply notices. It reminds us how rare it is to see beauty clearly, without possession, without urgency, just presence. This is She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron. She walks in beauty, like the night, of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect, and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. And on that cheek, and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. We'll end with something open, unfinished in the best way. A voice that doesn't close the door, but leaves it slightly ajar, trusting you to carry the rest with you. This is Song of Myself, an opening section by Walt Whitman. I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air, born here of parents born here, from parents the same, and their parents the same. I, now 37 years old, in perfect health begin, hoping to cease not till death. That's where we'll leave it tonight. Thank you for spending this time here, with the words and with the quiet. Wherever you go next, go gently.